time instead of just a one-time exchange.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Eric. Thank you. And today let's talk about your upcoming book, Be the Broker, Why the Best Leader Building Alignment Instead of Control. So tell us, the traditional leader holds power tightly, the broker distributed. For a leader who spent years building authority, what is the scariest part of letting go of control, and what is the most liberating?
Yeah, so I would say the scariest part of letting go of control is the perception that you are in control first. The perception that your decisions and what you say and what you do impact others around you to a degree that you really have control. To me, is a facade. It's not real. It's smoke and mirrors. The the realistic aspect of life is that we don't control much of anything outside of our consciousness and the decisions we make on a day-to-day basis. Whether or not our heart beats the next beat or whether or not we wake up in the morning, we're not in control of any of those things. So I try to apply that same mantra to business, to think that everything runs through you and the only way you can be successful is if you're the one that's making all the decisions, taking all the actions, and doing all the work. Really is just a fallacy. Where we see a lot more value and where we see a lot more success is when people work together to build relationships, to really try to magnify the opportunity instead of control the opportunity through themselves. So in my book, I talk a lot about relational capital, about leverage and alignment, and how to build, the whole broker mindset on these four main pillars. And to start that process, you really have to step back and realize that everything can't run through you forever to be successful. That's how a lot of people start, is through grit and is through determination and sheer will. But over time, to achieve scale and lasting success, you have to learn how to delegate, how to build teams, how to connect people, and instead of extract value, really try to compound that value by connecting people and benefiting everybody involved in each transaction that you have.
Mr. Eric, you've likely to seen leaders who mistake compliance for commitment. How do you know when a team is truly aligned versus when they are just skilled at hiding their resistance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the easiest way to see whether or not your team is committed and bought in to the culture and the mission of your company is to look at what they do outside of their specific metrics for their job description. We have managers that will go out, put gloves on, and pick up trash around different facilities, not because we ask them to, not because they have to or it's within their job description, but because they want to, and they want to show their team the type of leadership that we really believe in at Aptiva Health, and that's that servant first leadership. When we went through COVID, one of the things that I voluntarily decided to do, because we had to, lay off temporarily some of our marketing staff, was to start cutting the grass and doing the maintenance at all of our facilities. It's not because I had to do that. It's because I wanted to do that. I wanted to show them that, hey, we're all suffering together. We're all going to do what it takes to be successful, no matter what it is. And nobody on our team is above anything. When you have that top down type chief mentality where everything is, I'm telling you to do this, and that's why you have to do that, people will only do as much as they have to collect their paycheck. You're not really building a culture that people believe in or buy into. When you go above and beyond, when you truly connect with people and show them that you care by how you act and not just what you say, it's infectious and it spreads throughout the organization. And that commitment and that willingness to do for others before yourself is just something that is a cultural foundation that we built our business on. And we hope and we believe that everybody that encounters our facility and our business has that experience.
Beautifully articulated, Mr. Eric. The broker metaphor suggests negotiation, connection, and finding a ground between competing interests. In a typical work week, Where do leaders find time to broker alignment when urgent keeps screaming for control?
Yeah, so a lot of it is not necessarily in the moment, but it's built over time. So the team that you've assembled, the people that you surround yourself with, and those that mentor or help you make decisions on, say, an executive team, are those that you've built the relational capital with, that you've delegated to, that you've built the trust and the credibility over time, so that when you discuss an urgent situation, you know that you're all working together for the purpose of solving the problem to the best possible outcome for everybody involved. If you, the individual, are just seeing it with I have to solve the problem right now for the best interest of myself, and you ignore those around you or those that are potentially impacted by the decision you make, you may not see it immediately, but over time, if you continue to act that way, resentment starts to creep in. People start to You start to lose trust, you start to overdraw what I call those relational capital accounts. So if you're constantly taking to help yourself and not others, you start depleting that account and eventually you run out of money. So what we talk about a lot in our business is we all work together, act together for the best interest of what we call the broker triad. In our business, it is the patient first, the providers and our team, and the business. And when we have those three interests aligned, we know the decisions we make, whether they be in the immediate future or a year down the road, we're going to devise the best system and the best plan to meet the needs of everybody involved.
Mr. Eric, if control is about enforcing your vision and alignment is about building shared vision, what happens when leaders' vision and the team's vision generally don't match? Who yields?
Yeah, so it would depend on the situation. What we've done a good job. Obviously, I have a business partner. I'm a co-founder. So my business partner Tom and I, when we have disagreements, especially in the vision of the company or how we're going to move forward, the best way to do a partnership, whether that's in marriage, whether that's in your family, or whether that's in business, is to really stop and ask, who does this matter more to? If it's a two-person partnership, it's really easy for one of us to say, listen, this really matters a lot to me. And when you take a step back and you say, well, I'm not as passionate about this specific topic as you are, and yield that decision that they have a stronger feeling towards than you do, you've actually just deposited additional relational currency in that relational account with your partner. You've yielded to them in something that they find important. You know that you're on the same team and that you're going to move in the same direction. But if they feel more passionate about something than you do, by yielding and giving them the ultimate ability to make the decision, you now have that additional capital for future decisions that you're going to feel strongly about, and they're going to yield to you. So it's all about give and take, like every relationship in life.
Give and take indeed. Before a leader can broker alignment externally, they must broker alignment internally as well. Between their values, their ego, and their fears, what internal conflicts do leaders need to resolve before they can lead without control?
Yeah, agreed. So a main theme that I talk about in my book is anchoring your why. And the why has to be anchored in purpose. So your purpose can't be vague. I talk about being very specific. If you're trying to help a specific group of people, or if you're trying to solve a problem that means something to you, or if it's based on your faith or your integrity or your character, whatever it is, that purpose has to be a lot bigger than you. So we have to start there. If you are a leader and your sole reason to go into business is just to make money, to accumulate wealth, and to buy possessions, you're going to end up empty, hollow, and worn out. A lot of the threat to the entrepreneur is by nature, they have a personality where they're very driven. They're willing to do what it takes to be successful. But if you're doing all those things built on kind of a shallow, superficial desire to accumulate wealth, you're not grounded in purpose. And eventually you either burn out or you run out of the ability to continue to have those quick transactions to accumulate, uh, you know, fast wins instead of trying to build relationships over time that you may not reap immediate benefits, but long term, you're going to reap a lot more reward by the hard work, the intentionality, and the relationships you've built. So that's the biggest advice I have for anybody is before you get started on an entrepreneurial journey, find your why. Find that purpose that's going to drive you because that's what's going to keep you going when the bottom line, it becomes an issue when you're overspending and the revenue isn't where it should be, when you're faced with a critical decision of, whether I take the action that's going to get me quick money or if I'm going to build something with integrity on the long term. All those things and to be able to manage that on a day in and day out basis require purpose.
Yes, indeed. Find your why, people. Why? The need for control often masks deeper fears: fear of failure, fear of irrelevance, fear of chaos. What questions should every leader ask themselves when they feel the urge to tighten their grip?
Yeah. So when it comes to fear, it's whether or not the fear is based in something factual. A lot of times, people equate fear when it's really anxiety, and anxiety is worrying about something that hasn't happened yet or may not happen. Well, if it hasn't happened and it may not happen, you shouldn't really spend your time or energy on those topics. Real fear needs to be based in something that, hey, we've missed a deadline, or this deal that we thought was going to go through didn't. And the first thing you have to do is to stop yourself from going into fight or flight and put on a problem solver's hat. If you approach it as a problem to be solved rather than a fear to react to, it changes your entire perspective and you take the control and the power back from your emotions. So it's about going through those things that may be perceived as fearful with logic and ration rather than emotion and reaction. So stopping, finding what it is that is causing the fear and treating it as a problem to solve rather than something that you have to react to can change everything as far as how you approach things that some people are fearful of. The biggest thing, especially as an entrepreneur, is the fear to take that first step. And that's the biggest fear hurdle that you have to get over at first. And the easiest way to do that is by developing a system or solving a problem that others encounter regularly, and you do it in an efficient way that can be scaled to help other people. And again, you're changing it from an emotion to a problem to solve.
Mr. Eric, you're proposing a leadership style that requires a deep self awareness and emotional regulation. What do you say to the leader who knows they are not there yet? Who knows they are too reactive, too impatient, or too attached to being the right?
Yeah, well, so I'll say first of all, none of us are perfect. We all wish we could be better at certain things than we used to be. I can tell you now that I've turned 40, the way I handle business today versus the way I handled business, at 28 or 29 when I was first getting started, is much differently, and it's learned experience. So what I will say, especially to the young entrepreneur, is find a mentor, find somebody that has gone through the same type of battles that you're going to be encountering, and instead of you stepping off the ledge and falling in a hole because you didn't see it coming, get the advice from somebody who's lived it, who knows what's going on, especially if you're in the same industry. There are a lot of people out there that look forward to talking to young entrepreneurs because they see it almost like passing the torch. You're really encouraged when somebody has that fire inside of them to be a difference maker. And I can tell you now, as somebody that's 40, when I go talk to kids in college or high school students, I really want to tell them, like, listen, if you have issues, if you have questions, ask me. Instead of having to learn the hard way, ask those questions, or let's talk through those fears or those struggles that you're encountering today. So instead of you reacting, you can be prepared for it. And preparation is one of the best things to avoid, reactionary responses, because you know what to expect going in and it doesn't catch you by surprise. So that's the big thing is, one, know that none of us are perfect. We can all get better. So self-improvement is key. Work on it every day. It's not something that you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be a completely different person. It's getting 1% better each day so that it compounds over time. And two, surround yourself with people that have lived the life that you want to live, and they're going to pour into you, and they're going to help you answer those questions so that you don't have to be reactionary. You can be prepared.
Mr. Eric, if alignment is the goal, what role does the leader ego play in there? Enabling or destroying it? Can a leader with a healthy ego still broker alignment, or does the broker model require something closer to ego dissolution?
Yeah, no, I can tell you from personal experience, I definitely don't consider myself cocky, but I'm confident. I know that when I walk in a room, if I encounter a problem, I'm gonna be able to solve that problem. And I don't think there's anything that I can encounter that I'm not gonna be able to solve. But that's not just because I have an ego, it's because I know I have surrounded myself with people that have strengths that I don't have. And that's where it's different. It's taking a step back and realizing that you have God-given gifts that are unique to you, but you need to seek out other people that have differing perspectives and they have strong suits where you don't. For instance, I'm very grounded in perseverance and grit. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not going to get outworked. I'm going to be able to solve problems. My partner a lot of times is really good at keeping me centered, and instead of always focusing on the I've got to get this done. He helps pull me back out sometimes for broader vision. Let's do this bigger work. So again, it's who you surround yourself by. It's fine. We all have ego. There's no way around it. It's just being able to control that ego and know that one, if you want to be a successful broker, you should not be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you have the wrong team. You need to be in the right room with people that are smarter than you, that have different backgrounds than you, that have more lived experience than you. So I would give that advice first: is find the right room. If you always think you're the smartest, best person in the room, either that's a problem internally with you, or you're not surrounding yourself with the right people, because you need some healthy conflict, you need some challenge. So again, it's about structuring a team around you that's going to build you up, that's going to make you a better version of yourself.
Beautifully articulated, Mr. Eric. Alignment sounds beautiful in theory, but deadlines are real, margins are thin, and sometimes decisions just needed to be made. When is control actually the more honest and effective choice?
Yeah, so alignment is not necessarily that you are taking a long time to make a decision based on everybody has to have the best outcome. It's that everybody has to have a beneficial outcome. So we look for mutual beneficiality. There are going to be times where one party will benefit more than the other, but the best way to approach that, especially when it comes to your customers and your clients, is to acknowledge, hey, this time I'm winning. And I know that. You're still benefiting, but here I'm getting a little more of the win. Next time, we're going to look for a situation where I can do the opposite and make sure that so anytime somebody feels heard, seen, and valued, that's still a win for them, even if your benefit is outmatched on a specific transaction. So yeah, it's about solving a problem. You can still solve the problems and benefit everyone to different degrees. But if you're making decisions hastily to only benefit yourself, I'm going to tell you it's a decision that you shouldn't be making. If you're the only one that wins, you might win that one time, but you're not getting a second chance to win again, because everybody's going to realize, whether it's now or in the future, that you did it to only benefit yourself. And those people aren't going to want to work with you again.
So, Mr. Eric, you're asking leaders to trust their teams more. What what about the team's members who are not trustworthy, who lacks competence, who lack integrity, who take advantage of freedom? How does alignment handle the bottom 5%?
Yeah, so I'm pretty strict on that. If we think that somebody is a cancer and that's what they are, then you have to treat them like cancer and cut them out. You need to
Mhm.
do it as strategically, as precisely, and as fast as possible. Do not let that cancer grow. Do not let it become systemic, because it will impact other members of your team. If you have teams that see one person that's dragging everybody down, but yet they still get the same amount of PTO, they still get paid every day, and they still have a job, you're now going to pull down everybody else on that team. So you really need to be able to take inventory and take action when you see somebody that is not a contributing member of a team. I can tell you from personal experience, we've hired people. I had, one person that sticks out in my memory right now that I hired them, and within 20 minutes of them starting, I told them it wasn't going to work out, and I appreciated their time because I could tell just by the fact that they acted the way they did on that first day, they were never going to be what we needed on our team. And the other part of that is don't be too proud to recognize you made a mistake. If you hired somebody and brought somebody in and they end up not coming to fruition like you thought they would, that's happened to us, more times than I'd like to admit. But the most important part is being able to walk away as quickly as possible. There are far too many companies that keep bad actors on their payroll for far too long, and they end up losing good members of their team that had a future because of that. So that's my biggest advice.
Thank you for that advice, Mr. Eric. And to wrap up our discussion for today, at the end of a career spent building alignment instead of enforcing control, what do you hope a leader will find waiting for them? A more successful organization, certainty, but also what? A team that would follow them anywhere, or a legacy that outlasts the title?
Yeah, so the latter, a legacy that outlasts their title. My business partner Tom has one of the best sayings that I like to borrow sometimes. He said, at my funeral, I don't want anybody to say I was a shrewd businessman. I want them to say that Tom was always fair, he was always honest, and he always did what was right. And honestly, that's what we strive to achieve every day in our business, and that's simply how we live our lives.
Very well said, Mr. Ari. And can you please invite our listeners to support the broker itself?
Yeah, so Be the Broker is going to release later this year. You can go on the website brokerdriven.com. And if you go under shop, you can pre order the digital, paperback, or hard copy of the book. We'll put you on a list so you'll be the first to know once publication occurs. And we look forward to you learning more about being the broker.
Yes, definitely. And I have one more question, Mr. Alec. Mr. Eric, when organizations shift from control to alignment, who suffers? Who loses its status, security, or certainty? And what responsibility does the broker leader have to those who are hurt by transition?
Yeah, so honestly, if you're doing it the right way and there's alignment between all parties, there shouldn't be a party that's harmed. If there is a party that's harmed, you have to recognize and make the adjustments because you're not working on that what we call the broker triad. If you're not aligning those three parties and you're not serving the benefit everybody, even if it's different benefit, if one party is truly harmed, you have to correct that as quickly as possible because you're not creating alignment if somebody's suffering. So that can be organizationally between how you treat someone, or it can be structurally as to how you have structured either the team or the expectations of that team. And that really means changing members of your team to fill roles that really benefit them and empower them based on their own abilities. And that's where we've seen if you can reorganize and save relationships, you're okay. But again, I go back, if you find out that somebody's not benefiting simply because they refuse to be on the team and refuse to align themselves, then you have to cut that person out.
Well done, Mr. Eric, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, Daniel, appreciate it.
Mornicom people, see you soon.